Perfect. At 7 p.m., I officially call to order Senate Week 6. Let's start with the roll call.
Perfect. If everyone just wants to message in the general chat something they're looking forward to this weekend, or what you want to be for Halloween, either.
Yeah. Let's move on to the invocation. Can one of our senior senators please recite the invocation?
I can do it. May we, the Student Senate, have the wisdom, patience, and guidance to be responsible representatives. May we be fair in judgments, enlightened in our discussions, and ethical in our actions. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thank you. And can I have a volunteer to read the land acknowledgement statement? Maybe one of our first-year senators?
Yes, I will. We pause to acknowledge that Santa Clara University sits on the land of the Ohlone and Muwekma Ohlone people who trace their ancestry through the Mission Dolores, Santa Clara, and San Jose. We remember their connection to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present.
Thank you. So let's move on to the approve the agenda. We have 3 things today. Welcome, Eva Blanco. I think you're here. Yes, perfect. We're gonna start with her. She'll speak for 20 minutes, and then we'll confirm our Senator at Large for Sustainability, Paola, and then we're gonna debrief/discuss what happened at the Diversity Forum yesterday. And yeah, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion from Cassidy.
Second.
Second from Meg. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Perfect, the agenda has been approved. And let's move on to approval of previous minutes real quick. I sent it out in the email last week, but if anyone has any changes, please let me know. Here is the minutes from last week.
I move to approve last week's minutes.
Motion from Annika.
Second.
Second from Melanie. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Perfect. Thanks for coming, Eva. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here and good to see everyone. I just thought I'd share a little bit about, introduce myself, as I'm relatively new to this position. I've been at Santa Clara now for 17 years, but I am new to this position, so I'm just as much getting acquainted during perhaps the most difficult time in Santa Clara and perhaps world history. So my name is Eva Blanco Macias. I'm Vice President for Enrollment Management. As I mentioned, I've been at Santa Clara for 17 years. Prior to that, I was Dean for about 5. But I got started doing transfer admissions. This is a second career for me. And a little bit about my background as to why this is even something I've pursued. And that's because education has meant everything for me in terms of my possibilities and aspirations and just sense of hope. It all comes and stems from having the opportunity to have an education. My parents did not. My dad had 1 year of schooling. My mom had 3. But nevertheless, just big values, right? A lot of value impressed upon us that this was a way to grow and pursue and aspire, and certainly that's been true for me. So I've come to Santa Clara. I'm also an alum. I graduated from the School of Education So I have a degree there. My undergraduate's from Yale, originally from Los Angeles. So yeah, as I mentioned, I've been in this position for about 3 months now, 3-4 months. And the transition has been challenging, to say the least. With the pandemic, it certainly introduced a number of challenges, as you can imagine. Students and families continue to be, I don't think that there's any family who hasn't been affected by this. And we certainly saw it with our incoming class. Originally, we set off to enroll a class of about 1450 and about 165 transfer students. And whereas we came a little under on the first year class, we did exceed our transfer admission number. So overall, the class is somewhere around 1,500. A lot to be proud about, though. Obviously, I think a very resilient group of students. They are from around the world, around the country. Just to give you a little bit on some of our statistics, about 55% of them are from California. 51% of students are of color. 7% are international students, and that has increased dramatically from any prior year. Just to give you a sense, on average, we've enrolled 4 to 5% on any given year. And they're taking classes, synchronous classes, asynchronous classes, and of course, we want them to just as much be a part of our community. So we're working on seeing how, as you know, in the winter, we will be expanding some housing capacity. And so we're hoping that, again, we can bring a good number of students. Forming community is really important, and that's been a bit of a challenge for this group of students because some of them may have some ties and some familiarity with our campus and maybe friends with some of you already. Others do not, and they really are, I think, craving that sense of community. So I know that you've all been very active online in terms of your clubs, organizations, and reaching out and connecting, and really appreciate that because that is super important and a big part of just trying to make our way through this period in our lives. It's been really challenging, not just because of the pandemic, but the incidences of racial injustice that we're facing. And, that doesn't help at a time when we're disconnected physically and unable to, see each other in person as we'd like to. Under enrollment management, there's 3 primary offices that you might be already familiar with, certainly undergraduate admissions. And I see some familiar faces here because I know that several of you are either ambassadors or have really supported our efforts. And I can't tell you how important it is to always keep being connected, right? And bringing in the next incoming class. It's our students who students connect with. And so thank you for all of your efforts. In addition to undergraduate admissions, I also oversee the financial aid. And in addition to financial aid is also One Stop, or what they call the One Stop Enrollment Center. Sometimes, although the Enrollment Center has been open now for about 5 years, it still seems, I think, to some folks a little mysterious. This place is a service place. It's a support place for you all where you can find out information about financial aid, ask any questions, the registrar's office, your bills, so they connects and intersects with the bursars as well. And it really is there for you to, again, take care of any questions, concerns, all in one place. And financial aid works directly hand in hand with the One Stop Center. So what we're doing, and now that I'm now in this role, I'm trying to figure out how we can do what we do better. And that's everything from recruiting and enrolling. I think that you may have heard earlier this year, the pandemic has also affected students taking standardized testing. And so as a result, we decided to make this year's admission policy test optional. We're going to do that for at least 2 years. We're hoping that'll give us enough time to take a look at just what that means, right? There's a lot of debate about test scores and certainly all of the biases that have been researched, et cetera. So we're going to take a look at that and see what we learned from it. And if that means that at the end of the day, we don't need to continue utilizing standardized tests, we won't. We're looking forward to this because this has really forced us to take a look at our evaluation process. I think at a time when we need to take a look at obvious and perhaps sometimes deeply embedded forms of structural racism, this gives us a good chance to take a look at how we've been reviewing applications. And so we've had to rebuild that. That has forced us to take a look at our mission and our values. So we're only embarking on that now. We'll get started in the next couple of weeks. Our deadline is November 1st, and we're receiving applications right now. You know, we have had some concerns, and I think this is nationwide, about just what this next class is going to look like. Our economy is not great. Families have been hurt financially. So what's that going to mean for students' opportunities and them applying? And nationally, applications are down. That doesn't mean that's going to, because there's no apples to apples. This year is unlike any other. So we don't know if that's just a moment in time now, or if that will increase later. What we're seeing is pretty consistent to year prior. But we also know that, again, students and families are just facing different challenges. So we want to meet students where they are. We want to be able to answer their questions. If you haven't taken a look at our website, it'll give you a good sense of just virtually what we are doing and providing. And again, it's become even more important for us to be able to take Santa Clara outward. That's part of what I want to do anyway. I think that, as you all know, you come to Santa Clara and visually it's beautiful, but I think that we need to do more about sharing it outward, and that's, you know, in our local community, and so that students can get to know us. Not everybody can travel. Not everybody can step foot on our campus before they make a decision. So I think that this time has, really opened up the opportunities for families and students who've adopted to the technology to really take it in a little bit differently. And they're showing up to our, virtual events, our open house that took place last week. We continue to do information sessions and new forms of tours. I'm trying to work closer with a lot of the other departments on campus and bring to life kind of the issues and the conversations that are taking place on campus. One of those examples was the Dolores Huerta and Luis Verdes talk that took place just a few weeks ago. So these again are the ways that we're trying to engage audiences to get to know us. I think it's important for them to get to know us before they make a choice. But getting to know us is also getting to know you all. So one thing I do want to mention before I then transition is we also brought on a new platform that we call the Blanco Exchange. And the Blanco Exchange, once you become a part of that platform, students are able to register, and based on different sort of points of interest, can connect with whether it be students, faculty, staff, to be able to engage on those points of conversation, whether it be via phone, email, text, etc. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to our office and we'll get you engaged into the Blanco Exchange if you're interested in connecting with students. The last thing I want to mention is also that I'm also leading I'm the chair for the search for the vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so quick update on that. As you know, at the tail end of, or when the pandemic hit in March, at that moment in time, we just couldn't see how we could continue in the search, given that being in person and getting to know someone, I mean, that was just part of everyday and custom and life, that we couldn't see doing it any other way. Well, here we are still, and we've adopted and we've adapted. And so we've resumed the search. We had our first meeting as a committee last week, or no, the week prior. And timeline is underway. It is an aggressive timeline. What we're doing is we are actively right now recruiting. We're working with a search firm who's taking in and connecting with candidates throughout the country. In the next month or so, we will start looking at what that pool looks like. And then in December, we hope to then have sort of our first series of interviews. And assuming then there's finalists that come to the surface, they will then be able to have conversations and connect through forums and interviews throughout the campus. We expect in January. So we'll keep you posted on when that is solidified. But as you know, I think that it's become critical to have this person, and not that this person is going to be the only one. I mean, it shouldn't be just up to this person to make the change that we all want to see. So I know that everyone on this committee is certainly committed to being an ally and a support when this person comes on board. And that is also part of what we're doing in terms of having conversations and engaging and encouraging the rest of the campus to do the same. But we hope that you will engage in that process when we identify candidates, the finalists, and help us get through that decision and make the best decision for us. So with that, I'd like to, any questions that you might have?
Thank you so much for speaking, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, just raise your hand and we can call on you, I guess. Carmen?
Hi, Eva. Thanks for coming to talk to us. I have a quick question. Can you tell us about who's on the committee for the Chief Diversity Officer? Sorry, the Vice President for Equity, Diversity, Inclusion. Absolutely. And, I will say, and let me, just so that I don't miss anybody because the day is late. But I do also want you to know that there is a website where we are updating, and there you can actually also see, when we've met, there's bios on the committee members, and we'll keep updating as we progress. So stay tuned. But in addition to me, hold on just one sec here. So in addition to me, there's Marco Bravo, who is actually also an alum of Santa Clara, and he's an associate professor and the chair of the School of Education for his department. Andrew Chai, he is past president of Staff Senate and director of the Mission Church. Elsa Chen, who's a professor of political science and previous vice provost for academic affairs. Laura Ellingson, who is professor of communication and women and gender studies. Anna Hahn right now is interim dean at the law school. Anthony Hazard, who is associate professor in the ethnic studies department. Byron Howlett, assistant dean, student life. Melina Johnson, who's also an alum and an adjunct at the School of Education. She's also right now the president of the Alumni Association Board of Directors. Jennifer Konechny is trustee emerita, class of 68. We then have Kyle Shinseki, who is campus minister. And I think on this call might be, we have Ifani Ifediba, as well as,
Woo!
I'm sorry, is he there? Are you there? Ifani.
Yeah, I'm here.
I remember Ifani from meeting him at his high school. And then Camila Karami, who might be on this call as well. Is that right? No? Okay. So those are two student representatives. So it's a big committee. But, everyone is really enthused on this committee to get going on this work and our charge and our goal. That we've been able to align meetings in relatively quick order between now and the end of the year to get through the job. So thank you, Fani. I know that it is a big undertaking, and I don't take it lightly because you all are students, and that is enough to keep you certainly busy. But it's important work, so thank you. So that's where we are.
Angel?
Yeah, hi Ava. Oh, sorry. Well, thank you so much for attending the diversity forum yesterday. I think that there's currently a lot of emotions going around, especially regarding the event at the end. But I did want to ask you a question specifically about some of the things that were said during the Being Black at SCU conversation table. During the conversation, apparently multiple times you mentioned that there currently isn't a timeline and a number of steps need to be taken before action or any like real action can be taken. Can you go into detail into exactly what those steps are?
You know, I think before I can get into those steps, I think that what we decided at the tail end of that conversation, which really I think is to organize more so a clear picture of what these demands are. And I think once we get a picture of what those are and understand, you know, because I would like, and I get that, you know, these are demands that you've all been asking for some time, but I think in order for me now to be in this position where I want to be able to help advance and make progress on things, I need to better understand. And so I think once that is established and we're able to identify what these needs that we want to make change are, then we can get to work on them. And then I can be able to better address like what might be a timeline. And some of it I might be able to actually really immediately move into action. And others I know will have to take some finessing and working with others and getting them to understand. It just depends, right? Because some of them might have resources that are required for that. So then the question is, where do these resources come from? Well, then we need to move into action and figure that out. So there's just a number of things that need to be considered with each one of these various demands. But I think if we get into a starting point of just better understanding them and listing them and seeing what they are, I can better address that. And I can look for someone who can address them.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that. But I'm thinking specifically in regards, not in response to the demand specifically, but I think a lot of students are frustrated by a lot of the things that are like listed on the Instagram account are a lot of recollections of trauma and racial instances of abuse. I think those most immediately are what need to be addressed. And does Santa Clara as an administration have any plans to address those specifically?
So the Instagram account is anonymous. I do encourage for those students who've experienced the trauma and certainly harassment and certainly is to definitely file a complaint about it. And if somebody wants to talk to me specifically about it, I'm happy to talk to you about it. There are actions we can take, and me being in a position like that, I actually am obligated to report it. So if that's a conversation that students want to have with me directly, I'm happy to start that process with you. But I do also acknowledge that, I mean, it is, what is shared is really traumatic. And so it does need to come from the person first when you're ready. But if those are the issues, I absolutely agree that those need to be addressed. And if I can help facilitate that, come talk to me.
Thank you.
Melanie?
I just want to thank you again for coming to speak. I know it's pretty late. It's been a really busy week. My question for you is a bit of a follow-up from Angel's, but you mentioned a couple goals that you had set for the year, and I also remember attending your candidate interview back in the spring, and you gave a brief overview of what your plan was for the year, but I was wondering if you could clarify them now that you're in this position and let us know what are some of the goals that you had set for either the next year or the next couple of years, and what numbers you are trying to reach and how you plan on reaching them.
Yeah, thanks for your question. You know, I'm actually in the process right now of going through a pretty involved sort of strategic planning with everyone that is part of admissions, financial aid, and One Stop. For me, it's important to, as what's always just been best for me is that
whatever goals I set, that they're not just my own goals, that they really are about hearing from those who are doing this work with me. You know, I pick up from having conversations both with students, being in meetings like this, because again, what we're setting off to do isn't a set sort of menu item, if you will. It's I think about what is bringing and enrolling a class that, you know, that's vibrant, that's diverse, that's going to thrive, that we can make and be and welcome into this community. So that's a number of different things. But what this is, the strategic plan that I'm going through, one is first to make sure that, you know, we have the we're well calibrated, that there's balance in work, that we're hitting and going to the places. And, you know, with the internet and being in remote, we've been able to travel to so many more places than we ever have, because we had been previously challenged to get to as many high schools, to visit the communities outside of just this region or certain regions. And this has really allowed for a lot. So one of the more immediate goals was to try to be much more present and meet, you know, cast a wider net, so that, you know, these students who can't always come to campus, that we're finally able to sit down and have these conversations. So for me, just generally speaking, is the goal to just bring Santa Clara forth, and that students recognize it, and not just for the name, but to bring real examples of what we do and what we're about and what we're trying to accomplish. You know, the mission for me is what always drew me, and as much as, you know, I think sometimes there's discord and imbalance, I think there's something just really unequivocal about what that mission is, and I can get behind that. So it's really to try to press that out and meet as many students as we can where they are. As far as numeric values or numeric numbers of students, that is a process that does take place with a number of folks, and it's a combination of capacity, right? So part of it is housing, and there is more housing that once we get back to normal, we were in fact in a bit of a growth mode. But I think we need to take a look at that and also balance that out with what then, because there's, you know, we're expecting to have to, that there'll be more financial need, right? So what can we do there, and how can we work with the Office of Development to help in that effort? So it's kind of in the intersection of what we're able to do by way of both, again, sort of capacity, means, our faculty, to get to that number. And it's just ongoing. We haven't set that. But longer term, I think that the aspiration is always to, you know, find students who are, you know, who really connect with this mission. And I think right now, more than ever, it's important, right? We need to rebuild our communities. We need to get this economy back. We need to be a more just society. And I think that, you know, if we can attract students who want to see that kind of change, that's what drives me to making that connection and bringing them onto Santa Clara. And you all are perfect examples of how it's not just about academics, right? It's sort of what you do with it, and finding a connection with the mission and a cause that you feel strongly about. So we're trying to find those students and more sort of concrete examples of what we hope to pursue. That is building up. We need to just assess what we're capable of doing, what resources we have. But I think that one way that I want to accomplish that is by just establishing much stronger partnerships with different parts of the university. Santa Clara, or the admissions office and enrollment, can't do it alone. You know, I said that in my presentation. We represent the university, every aspect of it. And so it's critical that we know as much as we can know about whether it be a major or a program, or what students are living and learning and what their opportunities are, to then share that. But it's also about the other obligation I feel when I'm working and recruiting students is that I want to be able to bring them to Santa Clara and that they be happy, and that what we say we're going to deliver, we're delivering. So it is about making things better. It's about improving how we connect, how we communicate, to how we do things. And I'm a true believer that nothing's ever perfect. There's always room for improvement. So, that in general is just more of a tactical way that I feel like we can improve how we do our work and how we recruit, is just to also establish a number of different partnerships that perhaps hadn't been there before. That's true with our graduate schools, and that's especially true, I think, with development. And that's where I hope to start making some traction, as well as how we can get really creative about fundraising and for scholarships and for other programmatic opportunities that we can offer our students. So those are just some ideas, but it is in progress. I mean, we are reviewing, and that is a process that I just like to build with those who are a part and will be a part of the effort.
Great, thank you so much.
Perfect. If there aren't any more questions, can we all join me in thanking Eva Blanco for coming to Senate this week? Thank you so much for coming. You shared a lot of information. And
I will just also say that you know where I am. You can always send me an email, but when we're back on campus, just know that I'm also there as a resource. And last spring, I was so looking forward to Justin had idea of Splash, right?
No.
You brought this idea of Splash when it was just an idea, and you and I can't tell you how bummed I was that it couldn't happen. I'm hoping that you'll be able to, when we can, re-energize, and whether it be Splash or another form or mini splashes, but in ways, I just thought it was a beautiful concept that you would, because it allows us to open up our campus to students, and that could connect with you all. So any ideas along those lines, whether it be ASG, whether it be other clubs and organizations that you all are a part of, and you want to explore those with us, and we can help you bring those to life, just contact us. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Cole and Meg are actually spearheading Splash, so hopefully when things get back to normal, we'll see.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you so much.
You could feel free to stay on if you want, but I have to move on to the next agenda item.
No worries. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Pao, are you here?
I am here.
Perfect. We finally have an appointee for the Senator at Large for Sustainability position. Paola, can you introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about why you wanted to be in this position?
Sure. Hi, I'm Felix. I'm a sophomore. I'm an environmental studies major, poli-sci minor. I'm specifically interested in environmental policy, politics, and law. Hence, this position was very attractive to me. I'm very passionate about sustainability, and I think that advocacy on this campus is great. However, I think Senator at Large for Sustainability presents a unique role in that SCU has a sustainable strategic plan, and it's great. It's a great start. However, implementation and reaching of the goals in that plan are not consistent and are not, I don't feel, aggressive enough for what our campus is capable of. One of the things on the sustainability aspect on this campus that I'm particularly excited about is sustainable landscaping and design. I think that this campus is beautiful, and it's a big marketing part of our school. And I think we can make it even more beautiful, but also more sustainable through sustainable landscaping. It would be really cool to see this campus become an example of sustainability that doesn't compromise beauty or quality of any buildings or facilities. and hence I'm also really excited to be on FOC because I think sustainability there would be the most impactful. So yeah, I'll try to be brief because there are other things to get through, but yeah, those are mostly my my motivations for being a part of ASG.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, Cole, can you get ready to put her into a breakout room or the waiting room thing? Cole, whenever you're ready.
Oh, I didn't know if anyone had any more questions, but yeah, I can if nobody has any questions.
I have a quick question.
Perfect. Wait, does someone have a question?
Wait, let me let her back in. Okay, it says she's joining. Okay, she's
okay,
back.
wait, she's back. Wait, Christina, what was your question?
I was just wondering if she could speak on any, like, if she's had any projects that she's worked on in the past with sustainability.
Sure. Specifically on this campus, there hasn't been like a big project, I would say, that I've done on my own. There are initiatives that I've done through, like, with my professors, for example, with Dr. Christopher Bacon. Right before COVID hit, we started, we embarked on a, on like an air quality audit that we wanted to do for the university that was appealing, because although those have been done before, this audit specifically and the way that it functions and the way that it presents the results would be really helpful for the Center for Sustainability. But in the past, like outside of like schools and high school and whatnot, I did start a community garden in my city. That was one of my big projects that I've worked on, and that had a great turnout, and I'm so passionate about that garden.
Good for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there aren't any other questions, Cole, let's do that again. Perfect. Let's stop recording for a quick second. You are now officially confirmed as our Senator at Large for Sustainability. So yeah, stay on for the rest of the meeting, I guess. Well, we kind of
awesome.
have to.
Thank you, guys.
But okay, let's go on to new business, and let's talk about the diversity forum, and really like everything that happened yesterday. And I believe Ciara wants to speak on this topic.
Justin, I have the draft of the statement as well too.
Yeah. Should I
sent the link to you?
Should I let you share screen, or
I texted the link to you, or I can resend it in here too as well.
Okay. Sending it here I think would be good.
Okay. And if Ciara, if you want to chat first before whatever, but I'm gonna throw this up.
Hi all, how's it going? How are you all? I have the MCC safe space thing on as I'm multitasking, but I'm gonna put it somewhere else so y'all can't hear it because it's distracting right now for a second as I'm off mute. So Anne and I are just drafted this like basically an email to the student body that we hope to send out tonight, but we want to make sure that you all are like kind of in the know about what we're saying, and like if anyone has any constructive feedback, please let us know and suggest it in the doc. I just wanted to point out that, like, you know, the events that unfolded last night were very upsetting, especially in the forum, like the diversity forum that's supposed to be a safe space, and I put that in the Slack last night. But ultimately, like, in terms of there's pushing efforts to potentially dismiss the officer, and although we don't know if that's possible, I know that ISAC probably has a lot more information, so I'll relay or I'll pass on the microphone to them if they would like to speak on this. But just from an ASG perspective, once again, like we definitely want to take this opportunity to ensure that like, you know, we are there for the student body and we're using our like positions when we do talk to admin to make sure that we're uplifting BIPOC voices. And this is just another misstep on admin's end. And we're really hoping that, you know, over the next few weeks, we see more change. I don't know if you saw the Slack, but Afani brought up something that was small, but still a step in the right direction regarding Res Life and CSS in occupying the halls for lockouts. So we're just gonna keep pushing, but also Anne and I are trying to recognize our space and positionality as ASG leaders and how, you know, ISAC and MCC will be leading the charge, but we definitely really want to support them any way we can. Besides that, please feel free to suggest anything. I know no one's touched the doc, but it's definitely not perfect, so.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna keep trying to get access. It should be everyone with it. After I finish talking, I'll get my tech support hat on and take care of business on there. But we want to send this out by later tonight to all students, and with something that will have like our names on it, but we would like to send it on behalf of ASG if that's something you are all comfortable with. You don't have to decide right now. We can come back to that later as well. But I just think it's really important to recognize that, you know, as student government, we do have this position of, you know, we are here for all students. And this is a really big issue that has come up time and time again. And obviously there needs to be some more conversations that need to happen and some big changes as well. And as, you know, representatives of the student body who so many students are affected by this, it's really important to be engaged with what's going on. You don't have to agree with everything that's said, but just to be aware of the feelings that are out there right now, and recognize that there are like a lot of students hurting right now by the university, and that makes me really, really sad. And everyone should feel like they're part of our community here, and time again, they are not. And it's time that we really, I think, take this on as ASG. So that's kind of the whole goal of this, just to get this out to, because faculty are affected by this as well, get this out to everyone and let them know where we stand. We are pushing back. We're supposed to have airtime with admin about COVID stuff on Monday. However, that just shouldn't be the main focus right now. So we're pushing that back. And we're gonna have listening hours right now because on Monday night from 6:30 to 8:30 for any students, any faculty, anyone from Santa Clara to come, just like kind of like office hours. We want to call it office because we're not professors, but just to come on and chat and share their concerns with us. And then we can share that in meetings, see what needs to happen next, and really take these concerns seriously. But airtime with admin will happen, but just later at a more appropriate time when they obviously need to focus on some other things right now.
We're here for you. So if anyone ever needs anything, please reach out. I know, Justin, you want to talk. I also want to make sure that if ISAC has anything to say, ISAC members have anything to say, to have this space right now as well.
Yeah, so I met with Jeannie Rosenberger and Father O'Brien regarding the incident, and they are currently, investigating it and stuff. It obviously was disheartening that it killed, it was 88 minutes of good conversation for 2 minutes to ruin it and everything and unravel everything. But yeah, that's really all.
Yeah, we also met with Jeannie this morning to talk about it. And I mean, there's just a lot of things that they're trying to figure out. From a student perspective, I think the silence was really upsetting last night. And I don't really think there are many apologies to make up for that. But I do hope they feel the urgency of this issue and are taking it very seriously.
Annika?
I just want to ask, like, what an investigation on that incident means, because I feel like it was pretty self-explanatory that it was harmful, and I don't know what that means in this sense.
Fonnie might know more, but from my understanding, like last night, Margaret Russell basically was the only one that spoke after everyone addressed the incident, and she said that she would basically talk to John herself and like sort things out, to paraphrase. But obviously the onus should not be on the only Black cabinet member at our university. But anyways, that being said, I mean, we all saw it, and admin saw it, staff, faculty, and students were all aware of what happened. And so I think Molly McDonald, who is in charge of the CSS investigation audit, was also in the room. So sorry about my dogs. So just generally, I think that like we don't really know where we can go from here, but it's just kind of like this is just one more data point of why SCU needs to change in order to fulfill all of its goals of being an anti-racist university that it preached 5 weeks ago. So yeah, that's all I know.
Sam?
Yeah, I think this is more so of like a comment. But I think like from reading the email that was sent out this morning, it sounded dismissive towards the end of it, in saying that like, even though this is a painful situation, to not let that like undermine the changes that admin has been working on. And I think from a student perspective, it just makes me personally feel really helpless, like, because I feel like, well, one, I can't relate to the experiences of a Black student, even as a BIPOC, and I don't really know what more I can do on my part. And I think from talking to like peers and friends, I feel like a lot of us are feeling the same way. Like I want to be able to take action in something that's effective and tangible. And just reading that email was really disheartening, because it just makes it seem like they're just preaching about it, but they're not really going to do anything about it. And at what point are they going to start listening to what we've been saying, and really taking it into consideration? And I think what I'm just asking is like, how can I as an individual do something to like push for this change, so it's not just them reassuring us, but them actually taking into account, and what are tangible ways to make actual change rather than just words.
Yeah. If I could add on, I think after the incident that happened like last night, like obviously like that was like very shocking, and no, it wasn't, honestly it wasn't shocking. That was kind of the sad part. Like it wasn't like, I wasn't surprised that it happened. And then like I was kind of reflecting on like how I thought about it, like okay, like obviously this is a bad thing, but like what does this mean? And I was like, okay, like the administration tends to be very reactive with how they respond to things, so now this is something for them to react to. So okay, maybe good will come from this. Maybe they will they will actually like expedite like whatever solutions they already have in place. But then I thought about it again, and I was like, I don't necessarily think that that's the case, because like I think like we had a 90-minute conversation with like hundreds of people talking about like, you know, MCC funding, talking about like SC's relationship with campus safety, effects of COVID-19, like support for faculty and staff, and being Black at SC. We get so much like fruitful conversations, at least in my room, and maybe not some of the other rooms. And for that to all get taken away because of this incident at the last 2 minutes was just like, I think I'm just kind of annoyed at it, you know? And it's like right now, the main focus of the diversity forum isn't the stuff that was talked about at the diversity forum. It was the stuff that happened at the latter end, like when it should have ended already, you know? And I feel like, and like that kind of irks me the wrong way, because it's like there's so much that we need to be doing, and we need to be pushing the administration on MCC funding. We need to be pushing them in so many different ways. And like, I do think that it is completely about it, and we should be fighting to, you know, see whether or not John Laro like deserves to have a place in this like on this community or on this campus. But like at the end of the day, like that is important. But MCC funding, like stuff that we've been fighting for the past like decade, like those are also just as important. And I just don't want us to put all of our eggs into the John Dorado thing, when honestly, like, I don't think he's worth our energy. Like, who the hell is he? You know? But yeah.
I think that the frustration stems from a lot of administrators talking about accountability all night, and then they didn't speak up and hold each other accountable in that sense. So I think, in a sense, while it may be one issue that we're focusing on, it's representative of the validity of a lot of conversations that went down. And that's just kind of how I see it.
And also it's really frustrating, like Justin said, like, who is he to do that? But the thing is, they give him that power. Like what Annika just said, he is who he is because they let him be that. And he has like clout on campus because of his position, and they let him do that. And I've heard a lot of students talking about like, oh, well, it sucks because if you fire somebody over politics, but like, it's not political. The way that he's acting is reflecting who he is as a person, and it's affecting the way that campus safety is operating, obviously. And it's so frustrating because they like just seem like they don't care.
I definitely agree with a lot of the sentiments that have been said, and especially what Justin said about not getting distracted. I think it's super important because, like, in the long run, yeah, that really, really sucked. But the reason it sucked so much was because I had to sit through an hour-long conversation of this dude telling me that, like, the policies were fine and your feelings are the only thing that are, like, detecting racism, right? Like, the reason that we're upset about these things isn't just because he had like a Blue Lives Matter flag behind him, right? It is because he is in this position of power. And I think right now we do have a lot of incredible momentum. Like, there are people reaching out from all different sorts of like SCU alumni databases and stuff. And it's like a really incredible moment. But at the same time, like, getting him fired is whatever. Let's have the conversation about why there isn't DEI training for like the president's leadership cabinet, or why campus safety still has such a large presence on campus, you know?
I think another thing I just want to add is that we don't want to be performative in our activism either. And I think it's really hard as students because we all have the best intentions, but obviously intentions aren't enough. But then how much impact do we have if the people that we're trying to work with are halting our progress because they're not taking it seriously? And what I mean by that is, for example, like last night, there was conversations about kind of like, oh, like what Eva said today, like, we don't really know the demands because they all need to be like streamlined on like one website or whatever it may be. Like, I was a bit confused because their website is like advancing racial justice. There's like a website right now called that. And like Father O'Brien and other members of the cabinet have been talking about this website for like 2 months. And like these demands like should have been outlined. Like, everyone should be on the same page by now. Like, it's week 6 and we've been talking about it over the summer, and there's been comprehensive lists of demands from ASG, MCC, the Black tenured faculty from College of Arts and Sciences, alumni. Like, people know what to do, now just do it. And I think there's this challenge of like, I guess everyone, like all of you senators, like all of the ASG members, like each pick one of those demands and find out who exactly would be in charge of this and then hold them accountable. Email them each week. What progress have you made? What are you doing? Like, it's really hard, and I know it's discouraging and frustrating because this feels like, okay, LOL, what's ASG gonna do? Like, I totally get that, but I think the smallest thing of like, okay, I'm gonna Eva is going to be leading this VP DEI search, and I actually want to know, what did they do this week for the VP DEI search? Where is that? And I'm not going to wait for a website to come up about like, oh, this is what their progress is. Ask for it, and then we can report on it as ASG members to be like, this is what's going on. And I think that's the smallest steps that will actually, continue to hold everyone accountable when it needs to happen. So I encourage you all to do that, and I will do that as well.
I also think now everyone has their ASG buddies, and that might be a really good way. You have contact with administrators or faculty across campus, even if they don't seem directly involved with diversity initiatives. Like, ask them, like, what are you doing in your department? Oh, do you know about this? Like, you have any connection you have with administrators or any staff on campus, I would really utilize that, just to really build that expectation that, like, this is not okay, and you're going to hear from us about it. And if there's space in any role on campus to build on their diversity initiatives and be better and be inclusive. And all of those administrators could have said something last night, and no one did except for Margaret. And we all have contact with them. And so just think about it, even if it doesn't seem like your person has direct ties to what's happening, they still have some kind of influence.
Carmen, last comment?
Yeah, I just kind of want to add to what Ciara and Anne have been saying. So I love the MC funding room, and something that's a very common thing with a lot of administrators is that they give you this flowery language, and then you just, have all these conversations that keep going on in circles and circles and circles, and nothing gets through. And that's something that I've found a lot, especially because I've been fighting a lot for the MC funding just because I understand how it works. And Ted and Joanne were in my room, and you guys did a really good job. So thank you so much, Ted, for answering questions. But they are limited to a certain extent. And there's a point where admin, the president's cabinet, and the board of trustees, they have this certain power. But I think at this point, what we have to do, if this person doesn't give you the answers you're looking for, go to someone else, because they're just going to keep giving you, it's this constant cycle of just like, oh yeah, we're working on it, but nothing gets done. So just honestly keep pushing at this point.
Yeah. Thank you, Carmen. And if I could wrap things up on that end, I don't know how many of you guys were at the diversity forum yesterday. I'd say about like half of you guys were there. But I'm gonna link the basically the minutes, I guess you could say, from yesterday into the group chat or into the Zoom chat. And please sorry, that was only the Sam. Take a look at that if you can. I think in every single room, at some point, there's definitely been a point where an administrator made some type of promise, made some type of, hey, we can do this. And it's very important for us as ASG senators, because of our position, to follow up with them on that. Like, we need to go to, for example, like in the MCC funding room, Matt Cameron said that if we took $25,000 from the CSO funds from MCC and moved it to OML because of the hourly wages, he actually said that $25,000 would go back into the general CSO pot and could reallocate it back into the MCC, which is what I didn't know. That's not what I heard when I talked to Jeannie. So it's like, okay, Matt's saying one thing, Jeannie's saying one thing, like, follow up with them. And like, if there's any contradictions that you see from anything like within the minutes or the notes, like, please like attack them. But yeah, with that, let's move on to exec updates. I'll share my screen again. Yash? We'll skip Yash. Elena?
Hello. Oh, you can't see me. Now? Okay, hi. How is everyone? That was supposed to be a GIF, but that's fine. So sweatshirts, thank you to everyone for placing in your order. I'm really excited. They should be coming in about 2 weeks. And then Yash is going to help hand them out. And obviously it's going to be, very COVID safe and friendly. So if you're on campus or near campus or in the Bay Area, he will be handing them out. And then to those of you who are off camp or like not in the Bay Area, reach out to me and we can figure out a delivery method. We can either maybe ship them, or if not, just wait till winter quarter, depending on when you plan to return. And then we're still doing student spotlights, and they've been really, really fun to make. So if you are interested in being spotlighted on Instagram, and it's just like a short video and you get to talk about any projects you're working on, please reach out to me. And if Caroline Banker emails you about it, please respond to her. That would be great. Thank you. And then, yeah, if you need any help from the PR team, just remember to fill out the form. You find it on the weekly email. If there's ever a time where you need me to mention something in the email intro, reach out to me and I can totally include whatever message it is that you want to get across. So yeah, that's all from me. I hope you all have a great weekend.
I'm filling in for Robbie. So we just welcomed in our court clerk, Mateo. We're also working on bylaw changes. So if you have any bylaws that you want to suggest, just bring them on over to us. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'm so sorry, Justin. I did this to you last week, but I just changed it. Can you put my thank you. I memorized everything anyway. Okay, great diversity training to everyone who came on Sunday. So many people, and I really, really appreciated you all being there and taking it seriously. I did send the survey to the Slack official channel that Joanna and Burnell would love us to all fill out and give them our input on how it went. So I'd appreciate if you would all do that. Like I mentioned, 6:30, 8:30 this Monday night, Ciara and I are going to have that open 2 hours for chatting. Any students, anyone who's concerned about what's happening here, we are there for all students and really want to just be there right now. And also, just personally, I'm always here to chat if any of you need it. I will send my phone number again. You can send me whatever you want. Not whatever you want, but if you need to chat, I'm here. I am really sorry, but I feel really sorry for everyone who. I'm like just so sad about what happened last night, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. And it really hurts me to know that members of our community feel so hurt from our school. And I'm here for you. If you ever want to talk about anything, send me memes. I don't care. I'm right here. So there you go. Have a happy, happy, happy Thursday.
Justin, I also just did my slides. Y'all, it's a rough week. Okay. So listening session, because airtime with admin is postponed. I also wanted to open the floor up to like other things, other ideas you have for what ASG can do. Not just about what happened last night about ISAC, but just generally like how we can make sure that we're serving all students, and particularly BIPOC students right now. And having the listening session on Monday is our attempt to ensure that like we're opening up that space. But once again, we don't want it to just be thoughts and prayers. We don't want it to just be like, oh, just another stupid meeting session, whatever, like do something kind of thing. So opening that up for thoughts. Besides that, meeting with John Kerrigan next week about divestment from the prison industrial complex. Anne and I will be meeting with Provost Kloppenberg about probably just what things look like in terms of academics, core curriculum, those kind of changes, especially regarding like anti-racist curriculum and more diverse more diverse faculty and staff in general. Meeting with the UCC, which is the University Coordinating Committee, and meeting with Student Affairs UPC, which Justin is also on, which is basically where like a lot of the big changes regarding student policies happen. And then also meeting with Angel and Leah from the MCC to kind of get on the same page about like what our relationship with the MCC looks like and how we as student leaders on ASG and some who are in both can operate in both spaces. Also, if you haven't voted yet, please vote. Elections are next Tuesday. take care of yourself, and make sure that you plan accordingly, depending on, whatever the outcome is. Take care of yourself. And lastly, I just dropped my number because Anne did it and I thought it was smart. So if you ever have any questions, I know that it's definitely hard in this virtual space, and I really want to get to know all of you, but also mentally drained. So if anyone wants to, chat, I'm always open. But yeah, please, if you have any ideas, does anyone have any ideas about what I first said with like what else Anne and I or ASG as a whole can be doing to be more supportive?
If you do, you have both of our numbers now, and we're on Slack. So please send in that way. Justin, real quick, can we do an unofficial vote from Senate to see who would be comfortable, like if we could sign the letter like on behalf of ASG? I don't want to write that if that's not like something that just like an unofficial vote.
I don't know if that's how it works.
We have an expert here.
But I don't know. Ted, what do you think?
You don't need to vote on it. It's just really more conversation. And if anything, I would say at minimum, it's a conversation amongst the 7 cabinet members.
Yeah.
And they represent their respective branches and committees.
Yeah, and it's an email, not like a formal. I guess it's kind of formal, but like not like a commendation or something like that. I did everything I wanted to say to Ciara's thing. I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely disappointed by, at least in my opinion, I feel like there was a poor turnout in terms of senators within the diversity forum. I think half of the Senate was there, and like especially something like ISAC where you're in a room with 30 other students and it's just the admin, but it kind of felt like nobody knew what was going on because the students, like they're students, they're not expected to know things. And like we're here as senators, we're supposed to be the most knowledgeable. We're supposed to like have the inside information and just use ISAC as an opportunity to talk and really like grill admin in front of everyone. And I feel like going forward, like in the winter and the spring, like we definitely need to do a better job showing up to events like the Diversity Forum. But yeah. Let's move on to roundtable remarks. Sam, I think you had something?
Yes, thank you, Justin. So just a reminder, I sent out an email as well as a Slack message to all first gen students on board, and it has like the Google form that's needed for the social media project. Just a reminder, this social media project is like spotlighting first gen experiences, particularly members on ASG, and it's meant to celebrate National First Gen Day, which is on November 8th. So there's only a handful of us first gen students on board, so I would really appreciate if you all had the time to fill out the application form, and it'll just take a few minutes. And I put the deadline to submit the form on November 2nd. If you have any questions, please reach out to me through Slack or email. Thank you.
Okay, just as the discussion piece about signing the letter, how does this sound? We can write it on behalf of ASG, and if you're uncomfortable with that, send me a private chat and let me know, please.
Yeah, so if you're against Sarah and Ann signing on the behalf of ASG, hit her up or hit them up. But if not, it seems like we don't have anything else for roundtable remarks. Unless, does anyone have anything else? No. With that, sorry, Willa?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say about the ASG statement, is there a place in there where we could acknowledge, specifically the campus safety director and campus safety as a whole, that they're like not doing their job because they're not creating an environment that feels safe to all students.
Yeah, I think that would be important. We can add in something along the lines of, I'll mess with the wording, but like along the lines of like, this is especially, and Christina commented something about addressing that, or Izzy commented something about addressing that as well. Like, this incident is truly unacceptable, especially coming from a department that is supposed to like protect all students, or like if there's that kind of bias within a group that is supposed to look out for all of us, then that's not safe for students. And I think there is a way to address that. And anyone has suggestions on how to do that, please comment, because I do think that's really important. Thank you, Willa.
Justin, you're muted.
Thank you. Looks like there's nothing else. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Emma, second from Carmen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Have a good night, y'all. Happy week 6.